We also do a nice little sort of shimmy minute 15 reel of the best bits as well that Stuart pulls together for us as well. So look out for that on Instagram. Um, this morning, we are going to hear from the lovely Simon Phelps sitting there in his beautiful office in Ulverston, who's a filmmaker and has got a really interesting looking documentary on the slipway, which he's going to tell us about. And great to have Simon on the call. Naomi Frost, there she is. Where are you, Naomi, this morning? Are you in Ireby?
Yes, I'm in IB.
In lovely Ireby, beautiful part of the world. And Naomi is about to join us, or has joined us, as our new trainee producer. So we're just going to find out a bit about Naomi, what she does in her spare time, if she's got any, and what she's going to bring to the party as well. So she's a very interesting woman that is joining us, and it's great to have her on board. We had a bit of a CACN sort of shindig meeting yesterday afternoon in Carlisle when the seven of us got together. And it was really nice to actually see people in the flesh because we hardly ever do that. Then Nick Greenall of Science Festival fame. There's another science festival taking place at the Jetty Museum in Windermere, the beautiful Jetty Museum in Windermere. I think next weekend, but Nick's going to tell us all about that. A little bit of film to watch as well, and some great images of previous events and gatherings there. Some lovely photos there. And then John Parkinson, who is joining us this morning. He is in charge of an amazing looking May Day parade taking place in Penrith on Monday that I suspect Peter McQueen has had some interest in as well. And we're going to look at some lovely pictures of the puppets, and John's going to tell us what's going on there and how you can also support that festival on Monday. The puppets look absolutely amazing, and we can look at some original sketches that brought those puppets to life as well. So some great images. So we've got 4 presentations to look at this morning, loads of stuff to look at, lots of pictures, as well as you can admire Charlie's work in chat about why he's in the poshest hotel he's ever been in, but not in the bed in Big Ben in London. Right. Does that sound, Iona, are we set to go? Iona's going to work hard.
Yep.
Iona's going to be steam coming out of her ears this morning.
Sweating. Yep, ready.
Okay, all right, good to go. Right, let's start off then with Simon Phelps. Good morning, Simon.
Good morning.
Very nice to have you with us. Iona will pick up your pictures. But first of all, Simon, just introduce yourself to us and tell us a bit about what you do.
So I am I live in Ulverston. I'm a local filmmaker, so I just work independently, really. And so I've come from a writing background, and I've been in Ulverston now for about 4 years, and sort of starting to build a sort of Cumbrian filmmakers community, and sort of meeting with other creatives in Kendal, actually, on a Wednesday night, last Wednesday of the week at Brewery Arts. It's arranged by a friend of mine, Charlie. So that's good, yeah. And so sort of making contacts. So I've been trying to sort of make films locally that are locally based.
What brought you to Cumbria, Simon?
So it's family. My parents lived here, and then my mum's still here. She lives in Ulverston, and it's classic sort of lockdown scenario. I lived in Oxford and then came up here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you finding success, or is it sort of a slow burn to get to where you want to be?
It's a slow burn. I mean, it always is, really. I mean, the biggest the trickiest thing is getting financing and funding for any sort of creative endeavor. And so again, but it's also sort of meeting contacts as well, and that takes time. But it's starting to come together now. It feels like there's more momentum behind it. So I'm not a documentary filmmaker, but I just did a documentary in March about wrestling, about local wrestling, which was good, called Meet War Machine. But Waiting is a film. It's a narrative.
Great. Okay. Well, let's pull up these pictures. Perfect, Iona, and talk us through the project, Simon.
Yeah. So what happened is that somebody approached me. They knew I was a writer, and they approached me to say, "Look, I'd quite like you to tell my story." And their story is pretty harrowing in some regards. In fact, it's about them sort of becoming sort of increasingly sort of distressed and depressed, but not telling anybody about it. And so we sort of writing about those experiences. And the more I talked to them, the more I thought, this is a very interesting story, and I'd like to sort of put this on film in some way. But I didn't know anything about suicide and the figures of suicide. So I started researching into it. And the figures are really quite alarming. I didn't realise that Cumbria has some of the highest rates in suicide in the UK. Particularly the highest sort of demographic is between men between the age of 50 and 54 and 30 and 34. And in Copeland area specifically, and in the Carlisle area as well. And I reached out to a local charity called Every Life Matters, who are partnering with the council to sort of research into this and sort of try and help and prevent suicide and sort of make awareness. And they've been really helpful. Now we're working in support with them to create the film. So the aim of the film ultimately is to put it into festivals and have local showings and screenings, and then create a conversation essentially. And I think film was always a really, really good platform for dialogue and having a chat about something. And then hopefully it will sort of open up to those type of conversations. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just keep the picture. And this is so. Is this the actor in the piece?
Yeah, so this is a local actor called Chris Elwood. And Chris was an electrician until recently, and he started acting sort of more consistently. He's based out of Cheshire now, I think, his sort of acting career, but he still lives locally. And he's been in a couple of like Waterloo Road and a few other bits and pieces, but it's going to focus around him. It's really interesting actually because talking to a lot of people when we've been researching the project, there's a huge responsibility to portray this issue in a very sensitive way. So Every Life Matters were absolutely fantastic. We sent them the script, they read through it, they gave us some feedback. We also went through Samaritans as well, who have a media agency or media arm, and they looked at the script and made suggestions and feedback. And one of the things that came out of it really is it's never sort of one thing. Quite often you see in film, in the representation of film, it's quite sort of heightened in terms of the drama, and it's often sensationalized purely as a plot beat or a plot point. But it's the 400 blows. So we're trying to represent that. It's the sort of slow, sort of drip, drip, really, of that sort of cycle of depression. And this story particularly sounds sort of quite negative, but it's a positive one because he finds connection in sort of unexpected places and then realizes that he needs to connect and reach out for help. And that's the story essentially.
And why has it got the title that it's got?
Yeah, so if you you mind just going back a slide to the title, Waiting, it's a reference to the something that happens in the story, but it's also this notion of sort of planning, because that's quite often what happens in certain in situations. Obviously, people don't talk about it, but they have it in mind of what they're going to do and how they're going to do it at some point. And it's that, and you might be wondering why there's a semicolon in the title, but that's quite significant because it's the idea of pausing. So people with lived experiences or people who've had experience of attempting suicide often have that tattoo now of a semicolon because it's quite significant to that. And if you talk to Every Life Matters and suicide awareness charities, quite often it's about pausing and sort of taking a breath and sort of recognizing what you can do and talking to other people who've had that experience who can help you. So that's why the title is the way it is.
I think it's very distinctive. It's really really nicely done.
Do you recognize where that is, by the way?
That one there, the one with him
Well,
crouching. It's
all in the same location.
Anyone want to shout out?
Is it Coniston?
Water, isn't it?
Coniston, yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Gold star.
Back of me out.
Coniston it is. Well, and that's sort of not a million miles away, I guess, away from you.
No, it's very, very local. So we're shooting. So one of the things we want to do is shoot locally. So we're shooting all around the Olston area, in Dalton as well. And so we're using, for example, some sort of actors from the local school, Dowdales. I don't know whether you know Dowdales in Dalton there. So contacted them. And yeah, and it's just trying to promote Cumbria talent essentially, because it's so difficult. There are so many projects going on, but everything's so disparate. And trying to sort of coalesce people and get them to, all into one space where we can create something is going to be really exciting, I think.
I think we've got a couple more images to have a look at. So Simon, where do you start on trying to fund something like this? What do you do?
Yeah, it's really difficult. So the last two projects that I've done, one has been self-funded. And then the other projects, I contacted a local company that I thought might have an interest in the topic. This one particularly is with an agency called the TDA, who do loads and loads of work and social outreach to create awareness about mental health. They do something called Team United. I think they're based up in Cockermouth or Whitehaven area, around about the Sellafield area. And the TDA are the decommissioning agency. So it's just a question of having conversations and reaching out to people and making suggestions and then trying to find sort of people to work with. We've also got a funding website as well that I think went live yesterday. So for top-up funding, because it's so important to pay people for the creative endeavors. And that's what we're aiming to do really with this.
Well, feel free to put that into chat after this, Simon. I mean,
Thank
our
you.
colleague Stuart Armstrong, who a lot of people will now know on this
Yeah.
call, he's also a filmmaker. Do you know Stuart, Simon?
I've met him. Yeah. Very impressive. Yeah, what he's doing at the moment. He's got a short film coming up as well, I believe. He's working
Yeah,
with
he's
my
about
AD
to
and producer. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's running this crowdfunder, and they've got a big event this evening in the Tide Barn in Carlisle. People have bought raffle tickets, and he's trying to find, I think, another £4,000 or something like that. Because in the grand scheme of things, making a film, I've learned over the years of talking to people like you on these calls, is an incredibly complicated thing to do.
Yeah.
It's like you're the ringmaster of the actual kind of writing it is the easy bit. It's the ringmastering of all the other bits that seems to be the clever bit to me. And all this obviously capacity costs money, and actually in the grand scheme of things, £4,000, £10,000, whatever, it's not that much money considering what you're doing.
It goes very quickly as well. It really does. And I think, people are generally great. I mean, Stuart is fantastic because he set up a filmmaker. It's a Cumbrian filmmakers group on WhatsApp, and he's very proactive on that. And I think he's very good at sort of knowing people in the area and sort of promoting ideas. But it's like asking for money is always really tricky for people, and people are very generous with their time as well. Like most people say, they just want to be involved in a project, So, for example, a couple of the crew, they are sort of fairly high end. They're Cumbria based, but they're sort of high end experience. And there's no way I'd be able to afford their talents. But because of the project, they're working at a discounted rate for me. So, the people have been amazing in that regard. And it's very. Sorry, go on.
No, go on. You carry on.
No, I was just going to say it's like the more in terms of location sourcing as well. I realised there are so many people that have lived experiences or been affected by this topic, and they're willing to help and contribute because of that reason.
Right. Okay. And when might this see the light of day, Simon?
So the plan shoot's the end of May, and then we've got to go into post, and that'll take a while, and then obviously talking about grading and everything else, which takes a long time. So hopefully, sort of by July, and then we'll get into festivals and do some local screenings.
Okay. And will you? I hate to say this. Is this a dirty word? Will you actually make any money out of doing this?
Me?
Yes.
God, no. I never do. This is just for my own, like, because I want to do it essentially, and it's just it's good for me, and it's creative projects are always really I don't know, I find them really rewarding, and it's working with other people as well, because as a writer you're often in a bubble. So this is a dream for me because it's brilliant to be collaborative.
There's a lovely quote that George has put in. Being creative at any level is often the saving driftwood when all seems abandoned in the seas and the storms around you. Yeah, George, are you ought to write poetry, George. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful line. And Anne says, love the way it's coloured, very moody. And Helen, who also is a filmmaker, of course, saying it's a lovely design. And these are basically the stills, the promo stills ahead of the shooting, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a designer, so it basically put that down to my DP, Mike Feather. He's a photographer. He's a commercial stills photographer. That's his background. He's not moving into sort of moving image. And I met Mike through a creative designer, graphic designer that I know, like a mutual friend. And he's really good. He's so experienced. And there's no way, because I'm not a technical, and I haven't come from a technical background, I'm purely theoretical. And Mike has sort of enabled me to put the film together. We did our first film together, actually. Yeah.
Okay, great. If anyone's got any questions for Simon, by the way, then feel free to stick your hand up. I think this whole do you have a sort of second life that goes on in parallel to your film? You teach, don't you, Simon?
I do. I'm a teacher, yeah. So I tutor. So that's how. I mean, I've done all sorts of jobs basically to try and keep this going. I mean, that's how it works basically, yeah. But I'm a tutor mostly.
Okay, in Cumbria.
Yeah. So I work remotely, the marvels of technology. So English.
Okay. And how have you found moving to Ulverston 4 years ago? How have you found Cumbria to be a place as a creative?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, it's inspiring because there's so much that's going on, but it's finding it, I think, and sort of recognizing what's out there and sort of making those connections, and that does take time, and that has particularly taken time for me, because being a writer, you are in your own head a lot, you're working in front of the screen quite a lot, So it's sort of the ripple effect of connecting out there has been tricky. But projects like this, the Cumbria Arts Network, has been really good.
Excellent. Well, that's nice to hear. It's nice to hear. So I'm being distracted by my phone. So this is going to be about 15 minutes in the end, the film?
Yeah, so it's 15 minutes in total. And it's like a bit of a magic number in terms of festival sort of timing, really. And it's to do with also, scheduling of their programs and that type of thing. And 15 minutes tends to be about average, to be honest with you.
So if we wanted to see this sometime later this year, what sort of place might host it in Cumbria?
That's a really good question. I would really like to do some local. I mean, you talked about the boat museum in Windermere, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be an amazing location to do something like a screening or something like that. So I think we need to look at where that's going to be. And I'm going to talk to Every Life Matters about this as well, because it's traveling and access. So it would be good to do it around the area. So it's not just centralized in Kendal, for example.
I mean, and obviously there's independent cinemas there's a great one in Keswick just down the road from where I am, the Alhambra, and they have
that's a lovely cinema.
Yeah,
really.
There's a couple of thoughts from chat for you, Simon. Stefan says you might be interested in Broken Chords. It's a performance event currently touring, created in response to lived experience of bereavement through suicide. This is what are the names of the people that have made that? Can anyone remember?
Kirsty Pelling.
Kirsty Pelling and her partner.
Stuart
somebody. Anyway, it's doing the rounds at the moment. I know it's on in Kendal in about 10 days time, I think. So thank you for that, Stefan. Good point, well made, and interesting stuff. Anne asks, what kind of stuff do you write?
All sorts. So I started writing scripts for film, like feature. I was a teacher, so basically I was telling my students to do something that they really enjoy doing. And I thought I need to listen to my own advice. So I started to take it quite seriously, and I took a sabbatical and I wrote my first feature script. And that was a romantic comedy because I thought they were really hard to do. So I just picked something that I thought was going to be really tough. But I write everything from sci-fi to drama to, I've got a host of stuff really. And TV now as well. I've been writing some TV for a little while.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Anne. Nick says, we used to run a short film festival at the Old Laundry Theatre. Can refloat? That's an interesting question. Can refloat? I guess that means could we get this going again, right, Nick? Yeah. Well, the Old Laundry Theatre, where's that again? I can't remember. Where is the old?
It is in Bowness. It's just been renamed on the 1st of January as the Victoria Wood.
Victoria Wood. I thought it was. I wasn't sure.
To us, and often we have crazy ideas and say, well, let's do a show. And they say, okay, have the theatre. So they're really cool. Roger and Charlotte from the Old Laundry Theatre, or now the Victoria Wood Theatre.
And they're doing a play, aren't they, based on 10th anniversary of her passing, using some of her songs, I think, that sort of thing.
14 again, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's selling very well. So yeah, that's Simon. If you don't know the Victoria Wood Theatre, as it's now called, good shout, Nick. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I can give you an intro if that helps.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. I think there's only one film festival in Cumbria, and I think it's Keswick.
Right.
Which is surprising, right?
Is it? I mean, we're only 500,000 people. But hey, that's interesting in itself. And I bet that's one. There's a Chinese Mint Film Festival that also does the rounds that has been at Keswick, and I think has been elsewhere as well. All these festivals, I think I can speak from personal experience, not just film festivals. They kind of come out of passion, don't they? They come because somebody loves film and they scrape together some money and perhaps a couple of friends, and you get something off the ground. To sustain it is the difficult bit, I think. But we need to make sure we see your film, Simon, is basically what I'm saying. So make sure if we can support you as a network with contacts or ideas as to how you could get it out there. I went to a brilliant screening of a mountain film a few weeks ago. We had the chap on who'd produced it. I'm terrible at remembering names. 1,000 Words was the name of the film. And that was on... Sorry, Kate?
Dom Bush.
And that was on a village hall in Colbeck with a big screen, which worked really well. So lots of opportunities in this fair county to see stuff. Simon, thank you very much for coming on, telling us about it. Good luck with it. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of work and shooting outdoors, weather dependent, all that sort of stuff. But
yeah,
really interesting.
We're in the throes of it at the moment, just trying to get everything finalised. But if anybody could share the Instagram account with people just to spread awareness, that'd be amazing. Really, really appreciate it.
Great stuff. Okay, Simon, thanks ever so much, and good luck with that.
Thank you.
Right, let's move on to Naomi in IAB. Naomi Frost, who is our new trainee producer at CACN, but she has a big cohort of interests and has done all sorts of interesting things already. So Naomi, hello, very nice to have you with us.
Hello, how are you doing?
We've got some lovely slides that you've put together. So would you just like to talk, and then I can ask you some deep questions off the back of it?
Yes.
Right, off you go.
These are just a few slides of a few of the things I like to do creatively. So this is my debut album, which I released last April, as in not yesterday, but the year before. It's called Somewhere Out There, and I wrote, recorded, and produced it independently. And it's on kind of all the usual streaming platforms. That's is that Solway Coast? I don't remember. I took it a while ago, but that is Somewhere Cumbrian on the album cover. Yeah, writing is and music is my kind of main passion, but there's lots of creative things I like to do. So next slide, please. So this is some film stuff I've done. That was my short film Body Language, the poster I made for it, which was shown at Osprey Short Film Festival, which is the one in Keswick, looking just at different ways of movement and different ways of sitting. Got a bunch of friends together to do that. And then on the other side is a music video I made for a song of mine called Beautiful Stupid Things, which is largely about moths. And those are some of the moth costumes I made for the video as well. I shot some of the music video through jam jars to be a very cheap light refractor. And that was also a lot of fun. Next slide, please. This is the Wizard of Oz exhibition I did for Theatre by the Lake. I was their rehearsal pianist for a couple of weeks, which was a lot of fun. And then this exhibition was looking at the design process behind the show. And we've got this kind of yellow brick road ribbon going through it. A lot of the design drawings and little patches of the fabric of the different costumes. There was a dressing up box, hence why I'm dressed like that. It's a Munchkin inspired outfit, not what I usually wear. And lots of the lovely show photos as well in there. Next slide, please. These are some collages. I love collaging. This is what happened to all my sister's Vogue magazines, if she's wondering. The one on the left is called Full House. It's about kind of the process of getting ready to go out somewhere with a large group of people and kind of be, clambering over each other to get things and being in a communal space together and it being a lot of fun. Next slide, please. So this is some mixed media stuff. I don't know if the video is going to work, but it exists. We'll see. But it was, I walked the route that I used to walk every single day to school, which was a route that I really hated, but I wanted to kind of reclaim that in my mind. So I took photos everywhere along the journey and then printed those off, and with mostly oil pastels, I illustrated on top of the photos and then put some of those together in an animatic so that I was kind of seeing the journey as I'd like to see it in a much more colourful light. If the video doesn't work, it is on YouTube. And
I can, if we go through the presentation here, and then I can find it on YouTube.
Okay, cool.
That,
yeah,
that will just be a separate thing, I think.
Yeah, that's fine. Next slide, please, then.
Oh, that's done anyway.
Oh, that's it. Cool.
I'll find this video. You carry on.
The jeopardy of whether we'll find the video or not continues in the background. Naomi, what a creative individual you are. So I was trying to write down all the things that you basically just kind of threw away in as an aside to say what you did. You produced and recorded an album. you've done
Yeah.
mixed media stuff, you've done collages, you've written music, you've made exhibitions for Theatre by the Lake about Wizard of Oz. You were their rehearsal pianist, I think you said, as
Yeah.
well. And you're the ripe old age of how old are you?
I'm 21.
21. Okay, so where did you go to school?
Allswater in
In
Penrith.
Penrith. Okay, and then
Yeah.
what did you do after that?
I went to Carlisle College. I did an art design diploma for a year.
Right.
And then I've been kind of hanging around trying to get freelance bits.
And how have you found that, hanging around getting freelance bits?
It's going all right so far. I'm very much kind of I don't want to jinx anything because I like the things that I've done in the past few years, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to continue doing creative things.
And do you want to do you feel you need to at some stage specialize in a particular activity, or do you want to stay doing all those different things?
Well, my main ambition would be to compose and write and for film and theatre. I do love doing a variety of things. I think whatever, I will try and do things like, I just collage because I love it and because it's nice to do something tactile when I'm often working on my laptop. Yeah, I'm kind of open to either or. I would happily specialize if there's enough of that work for me at some point.
Yeah.
Or I'm happy to kind of do a bit of whatever.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask Kate in a second why you chose Naomi to be the next trainee producer. But before we do that, our sophisticated talkback system has informed me that the video is ready to go. So let's watch this. So just before we play it, just remind us what this is again, Naomi.
This is a short clip of some of those illustrated pictures, and
it's about your walk to school, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. That's beautiful. Did you write the music for that as well?
Yes.
Yeah, because I saw Naomi play at the brewery in Cockermouth in January. Was that your first show that you'd ever done, Naomi, in public?
Yes. Well, yeah, I'd played one song at Iona Abbey in front of a bunch of Dutch tourists last year, but other than that, yes.
Random. It was an amazing performance, and it really that just hearing that theme tune behind that animation reminded me of the song that I heard where you played a few songs, but you've got a very particular style already of your music. Kate, so why have you chosen this boring, two-dimensional, uninteresting person to be the trainee producer?
Because clearly she stood out. We had so many applicants for the trainee producer roles when we interviewed, when we put the call out last autumn. I think we had 45 applicants for 3 back-to-back traineeships, and we interviewed 12 young people. And Naomi stood out because she was articulate and had loads of good ideas about how we could engage more young people with CACN, because she was fun, and yeah, just enthusiasm. She just sort of stood out, and it was in the end between Naomi and Stuart, who were both amazing. We decided to take Stuart first because he was older, and then Naomi second because she was younger. But gosh, was it a difficult day picking any trainees out of such an amazing lot. But yeah, Naomi was brilliant and has already made a grand start.
What do you want to get out of the traineeship, Naomi?
I basically want to learn whatever I can from all of you guys at CACN, because you've all got your particular set of very, very useful skills. So I want to steal some of those and hopefully also give some new ideas. And yeah, I've got plenty of enthusiasm, so I can always give that.
As ever with these things, we learn as much from you. We genuinely learn as much as from you rather, as you might do from us. Stuart has taught us all sorts of things over the last 6 months, and it's so important to have that slightly younger voice around the table. You heard it here first. There could be a new podcast coming from CACN in the next few months. We're just working up an idea at the moment, but Naomi would be very much at the heart of that idea, because we want to, the See It to Be It project, which, as you probably know, is our ambition to connect with younger creatives in Cumbria and to give them the opportunity and to feel there is opportunity in Cumbria for them to develop. We need to talk to them in the right way and on the right platforms and et cetera, using the right language. So Naomi will be very useful and influential in trying to make that happen too. Any questions for Naomi for her while she is with us on this call this morning? My question to you, Naomi, is how on earth do you sort of juggle all these different interests and ambitions and still sort of see them through in a high quality sort of professional fashion? Do you are you good at compartmentalizing and basically producing?
I tend to go through phases of kind of hyper focusing on each of these things. So I might have like a month where I kind of rediscover collage and I'm like, wow, this is the best thing ever, and I'll make as many collages as I can in that time, and then I'll remember some a piece that I was writing and I'll go back to that, and then when I get bored of that I can go to writing something else. So for me it's quite useful to be interested in enough things that when I get bored of one of them I can temporarily hop to another one.
Yeah. And do you come from a very sort of creative household?
Both my parents are primary school teachers. My sisters are both creative. My sister Lauren is a ceramicist and my sister Becky is a children's wear designer. My dad loves music, but I think one of the main things for us growing up was that my mum always let us make mess creatively. She'd always kind of bring out poster paints and whatever and paper, and we were allowed to just kind of play around with that. And I think that's one of the most significant things about how we were allowed to be creative.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right there. People nodding, I can see on the screen. Well, Naomi, it's great to have you as part of the CACN team. Thank you for giving us a little insight into your creative world so far at such a tender age. And we look forward to what you're going to do in the future. And I hope you're able to do some of it, if not all of it, in Cumbria as well, because we need people like you to inspire all the others as well. Great stuff. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you for sharing all that. Lovely, lovely stuff. Well, speaking of creativity in Cumbria, there's nothing more creative than the Windermere Science Festival in my book, which has been going for a few years now. And Nick Greenall is very much at the heart of it all. He manages to get money to make it happen, has the contacts to get people to come to Cumbria. And the jetty is such a beautiful site to have that festival at now. So, Nick, we've got your slides and a little bit of film, and we'll just see how it goes. But over to you to tell us just a little bit about yourself, first of all, for those that don't know you, and then what's happening this year.
Well, good morning. Lovely sunny day. I'm in the workshop. This is all Charlie's work behind me in Witherslack. My background, I've been in Cumbria. 15 or 20 years now. My background before that, I was a filmmaker. I used to work in the edit department of feature films. I was down in that London, and now I live in a rural idyll, which is lovely. So we work here, and actually the first slide will show you where I am right now. So so you see, this is a piece of land in the Lake District, and you see the white car? I'm kind of like behind that, under the tree in the workshop. This is Charlie's workshop, and Charlie lives next door. And our recent project that I was going to talk about is that we are making a nature trail in 1/3 of a hectare of this site, and it's a site of special scientific interest. And we're working with groups from Kendal and Barrow who are recovering from kind of substance misuse, and we're using that as a bit of a metaphor, personal regeneration through land generation. So there's like a 1 minute film clip there that'll just give you a little bit of an idea. If you can hit that, please.
Working with artist Charlie Winnie, who lives and works next to the site, the group have taken part in practical sessions, learning new skills and making elements of the nature trail.
So today we've been making hurdles. These are going to go out on the land, and by making the edges of this path, it's all about exchange. So by people just walking on the land, they will actually disturb the ground a little bit, and they will help seeds germinate, which wouldn't normally germinate if people weren't doing that walking. And so the land in return gets some element of biodiversity. And the purpose of these hurdles is to limit where people go. So it's not a very big site, and every year they just walk on one line, and then the next year they walk on a different line, and the next year a different line. And over time it'll create a rich patchwork of different ages of growth.
It's early days, but we'll be returning to follow the group as the path develops over time. We hope this will be a true exchange between people and the land, and show how this approach is mutually beneficial. We're also working with ecology professionals who will help identify species and monitor the hoped for improvement in biodiversity.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. We're talking about being creative. We got a little bit of funding from the Lake District National Park Authority, and they've got a fund that an ecologist told me about that I'd never heard of. It's called FIPL. It's Farming in Protected Landscapes. And we were able to fund kind of making a little path and a kind of accessible nature area, and for a group to work with Charlie as well. And there you see them beneath Whitbarrow Scar, which is a limestone pavement. So that was the bottom of the sea 200 million years ago. And Charlie has made, with the group, these amazing hurdles that kind of define the path. The idea is that we change the path every year, and there's butterflies and other wildlife benefit from having kind of like 1 year's growth, 2 years growth. There's a butterfly, a rare butterfly called the brown fritillary, and that it benefits from the habitat that's created by having like different areas worn. Is there a next picture? Right. Oh yeah, there's Charlie talking to the group. So it's a lot about personal reflection and personal regeneration, as well as kind of like ecological generation. Is there a next slide? Yes, so we're welcoming people to the land on these dates for a free introduction to regenerative design with Charlie. Charlie's, you're very welcome to jump in at this point and talk about that if you want, Charlie.
I'm wearing the same jumper that I was in that photo. With this session, it's all about I'm going to introduce 2 principles and 5 methods of regenerative design, and then we're going to basically go through what they are, but instead of doing it just as an abstract thing, we're going to use this little site that we've got as a kind of as a test bed where we can see things occurring on the land, and then we can relate them to things that we could do in our human world as well, basically. Would you like to know the I did an MA in regenerative design at St. Martin's last year, and my notes, which I'm still working with the MA now, because they're changing the course and we're trying to kind of make it more kind of vocational and simple. And would you like to know 2 principles and 5 methods of regeneration? I can
Yes.
say them out loud if you like. So I've got them written down. This is like the studio version, which is like kind of, it's not academic language, it's just like talking to actual people. So regenerative design is the design, planning, and creative end of regenerative practice that also includes regenerative farming and social regeneration projects. And the two main principles of regeneration are, number one, is you work within a living systems context. So you see what you do within the wider planetary context of nature and the complex multi-species web which we're part of. So we kind of see ourselves as part of like a big world, but including not just about the humans, but about this big network. And then the other principle is you create solutions that cause less problems than they solve within our overall planet. So you enable a net regeneration with every project you do. And the overall planet is better able to foster life and happiness after your work than before, as a kind of benchmark. And it's not, to be honest, it's not very easy to do, but that is basically those are the principles. And then you think, how on earth do you do that? And then the 5 methods which are kind of taught on the MA, which were kind of branching out into the real world. And basically for me, like including me being down here today, is kind of part of this kind of like gently feeling away in the real world. I'm revisiting former clients and seeing where we can have a conversation and what's happening. So number one is observe, interact, and repeat. So never assume you know the full context of your project or situation as you'll miss things. Always start with questions which you respond to honestly based on observations, and revisiting these often is part of the work. Okay, so the number 2 is you split work into smaller actions which inform the next. So you don't overshoot a solution and cause harm or create waste by mistake. There are no unstoppable master plans, and the design process is also a learning process. So the third one is you do work as timely actions, which must happen within a certain time frame to fit the wider context. So like the world in which we live is like, it's annual and it's seasonal and it's and also quite often, like, to be honest, for me, I really struggle with, I would quite often like do things too late, and it's good to remember, got to do it then. And looking within the wider context about things that are always changing around you. So yeah. Okay, number 4 is work almost always creates a beneficial exchange of materials and or services 2-way, rather than extractive or additive processes, which is only 1 way. And actually, like, most of the work we do is trying to work out what on earth, what exchange can we make here? And then quite often designing projects are actually working out, is there any exchange? Is there anything impossible? And yeah. So anyway, it suddenly makes it quite interesting. You're, instead of just like, you're actually doing something rather than just like, I don't know. Anyway, it's an interesting way of working. And then the last one is resilience achieved through diversity. So you create resilience in your work through multiple routes to achieve the same ends. So if one thing fails, something else can step in. And it often involves allowing complexity to emerge rather than controlling everything, and which is really important. So basically, like the living systems world in which we live, and actually just the human society, and just generally just being like a practicing person. Quite often, if you just allow, instead of trying to make everything happen, sometimes you can allow things to kind of emerge and then create resilience by allowing multiple routes to occur. And sometimes projects will kind of like take a direction you weren't planning, because actually that's a different strand. And it's anyway. So basically that's that. And
okay, I'm just gonna jump in. Nick, you got 3 minutes left to tell us about the Science Festival.
Okay, so join us. There's a QR code for those dates in June and July. It's free. We'll have some biscuits. Next weekend, Windermere Science Festival. Lots of amazing things happening. Next slide. Got somebody coming from Norway. and they work at Bergen Aquarium, and they're bringing a VR experience about sea bottom dredging. We're going to build cardboard boats with Charlie Winnie, who is not a marine engineer, but he's a designer. And we put live human children in them, and we send them out on the largest lake in England. What could possibly go wrong? Next slide, please. We've got a science rapper. He's going to rap about the Jurassic period and geological formations. If anyone can think of a rhyme for Jurassic, you're doing very well. And next slide, please. Oh, yeah. So come down. It's next week, the 9th and 10th of May, Windermere Jetty Museum. If anybody wants to volunteer, drop me a line. Charlie's doing a talk about regenerative design. I've got Johnny Gios doing a talk about wildlife photography. I've got 2 geologists talking about volcanoes. And lots of other weird and wonderful stuff. We've got beekeepers, and you can get to look through microscopes. We've got bushcraft on the beach and other stuff. Another project we're doing is heritage project about Vikings. This is coming up in May, so we've got a Viking talk about Viking archaeology as well. That's it? Thank you very much.
That's amazing. I love the science festival. I've never actually got there myself, but I just love this breadth of and fun that you seem to have, and you get some great speakers along as well. I'm just trying to think of the word fantastic isn't a million miles away from rhyming with Jurassic. Jurassic fantastic. Maybe there's something that you could do with that word.
I like it. You're up. You're booked.
It's the best I could come up with in about 2 minutes. And Charlie, so interesting to hear you talk about the sort of the science of regeneration. And, those hurdles look like the most beautiful hurdles I think I've ever seen being used as a sort of pathway in that piece of land that you've got there. Really, really interesting stuff. And, the way you work with wood and with nature, it's just very, very impressive, I think. So you two seem to be joined at the hip in all the projects that you're doing. What's next? So, Nick, this is just basically an ongoing. I'm just thinking back to the question I asked Simon about how do you kind of keep going? It's passion, but you've got to get money to make stuff happen. Do you have a second life as well, or do you manage to make this all work for you?
No, we make it work. So a few years back, Charlie and I run a CIC, a community interest company. So we've been able to get a bit of funding like that. The funding on the land was brand new funding that I'd never heard of. An ecologist told me about it. But we do the usual suspects. Sometimes we've had a bit of Arts Council, natural heritage money on this Viking project, etc. So we'll have a go at everything, really. And we keep going and try and do interesting things.
All right. I'm just seeing Derek's put in their classic rhymes with Jurassic. And George has come up with the word Borochich. Borochich? Is that, George, help me there. What's that all about? George may not be there anymore. He may have
Thoracic lint.
Thoracic.
Framing slang. Thoracic.
Skint. Skint. No money. Thoracic.
Brassic. Very good.
Okay. And thoracic is there as well from Derek. These are inspirational words, everybody. Congratulations. Nick, if you can't make an excellent poem out of that lot, I don't know what you can do. Right, we'll just hold it there because the elusive John Parkinson was here. He seems to have gone again. I want John to come back again and tell us about these puppets, which we've got some great pictures of. So John has been here twice. I think I've let him through the door twice, and he seems to have gone again. John's not here on this call, is he? I'm not missing John, am I? Can I see John Parkinson on this call? I can't see him. So let's hope that John returns. We can show you some pictures otherwise. Peter McQueen, do you know much about this May Day parade?
That's typical John, really, isn't it?
If we took some pictures up for you, Peter, could you talk us through one or two things?
Well, very, very briefly, John has put together John was inspirational for the droving that happens in Penrith on a winter's evening, and this is a new festival that he's putting together called it's the Green Man Festival, which will take place on May Day in Penrith this coming Bank Holiday Monday. There are going to be some. You can see that gives you an idea of the size of these puppets that have been or are at this very moment. John is probably out there on a ladder, scaling up the ladder, trying to finish these puppets. But you can see
these are some of his original drawings, I think. That's his
these are his
signature
original drawings. Those drawings you saw just now, the puppets are, well, you do have to get on a ladder. I think it's going to take 5 people for each puppet. There we are. There we go.
So these are them this is almost them finished, right?
Yeah, almost finished. Bit bald on the right hand side over there. Needs a bit of something on the top of the head. But yeah, and there's also going to be some. I think there's some flying doves, which people are going to be sort of floating through in a procession. These are all being processed through Penrith. I think the festival starts at 2 o'clock. But John is very keen for anybody to come along and help.
John may be coming through the door right now as we speak.
Excellent, good. Come on, John.
Are you there, John?
Come along, Parky. He's always been like this. I knew him. We got together at Manchester University back in the 70s, and he's always been late. Is he there now? Is he there? I mean, it's very difficult to get hold of John Parkinson sometimes. I should also say that keep your eye on the up front gallery because of the Puppet Museum, which is very shortly having an official opening at the up front gallery, and he has this wonderful museum.
Hello, Pete. Can you hear me?
Oh yes, John. John.
John, Peter's been feeling very well. Flight to the moon and back with the technology I've been through. You can hear me. I can't see myself, but you can clearly hear me. So I thought I'd interrupt my wonderful stand-in, Peter McQueen, always there to stand in front of the curtain if an actor is not present. Are you explaining it, Pete? Shall I let you carry on? Hello, everybody, anyway.
No, John, you carry on.
We've just been looking at some of the original drawings. I don't know
when. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, those are 4 guardians of the 4 corners of the earth, about 4 meters high. You can see the scale of people working them. They're made from willow and aspen. They've got wheeled bases and a man stands inside. This is a group of kids holding up flying birds who are going to be around maypoles, but we've cut that idea. They're now going to be peace doves with wings flapping, and all the kids have got harnesses, most of them Greystoke School performing it, all reclaimed stuff, willow from Phil, I can't remember his name, Bradley, who's been growing it for years and has been helping us make stuff. Next slide. Pictures of 2 of them, a bit not ready yet because that's like 50-60% of them because they get leaves added to them by the ton that we're going to harvest at the weekend. They're all being brought to a yard that I've managed to borrow next to Ferguson's opposite Booths. Anybody wants to come along Saturday, Sunday and or Monday morning, help us put the greenery on, that would be fantastic. The heads turn and bow and look up and down. Phil Rigby has beautifully woven the headdresses to match my drawing, so I'm dead chuffed with that. What else have you got? Here's the Green Man. He's sitting squat at the moment on a platform that we've abandoned in place of a trailer. He goes up another couple of meters higher because he's got legs underneath and he stands on a scaffolding framework. So he has arms worked by 2 operatives or puppeteers each, which get a bit more weaving and stuff on them yet. 2 great big willow hands, 2 sticks, and his head moves and turns. And just as an added detail, he can wink at the young ladies in the crowd. I don't know what else Peter said about me, but I'm sure it was wonderful. I'm sure it was nothing but full-on praise.
Just explain.
I hear you, Tom, now.
John, if you could just explain in a bit more detail about where you would like help and where people could go and exactly what is happening with the parade.
I will, yeah. Parade starts at 2 o'clock at the top end of the town, opposite or near the old town hall. We're all meeting in the car park behind. Kids are meeting, people are meeting. Around about 12 o'clock, people are asked to come along if you want to help. We've nearly got enough crew now because I've been working on this for a while. We've got insurance and liability insurance for everybody, although we are asking people to sign a disclaimer in case they do something really daft like turn up drunk, which I will, of course, be doing. So turn up there to help with the puppets. But on Saturday and Sunday, we are in a yard opposite booths belonging to Ferguson's Tile Shop, and anybody that come and help us thread laurel leaves and other kinds of leaves, ivy and coloured variegated leaves, onto hessian strips that then getting applied to the puppets. That will be fantastic, because the more we get on, the more it'll look good. Yeah, the whole thing is they're green. It's Green Man. He's going to have music played by Blue Jam Jilly Jarman and Sally Hardacre. They've composed some flute music for the birds flying in. Got a big smoke machine, I hope, if it arrives. And the Green Man is going to tell everybody, if you don't look after this planet, it might not last much longer. Oh, and the birds are now white, and they're doves of peace, and they're carrying olive branches.
John, it looks amazing, and really ambitious and beautiful and different as well. And I congratulate you on all of that.
So fingers crossed, a bit of help would be nice, or come along and.
So Monday is the parade, and the weekend finishing.
Say whether you like it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dave, for putting that link into chat as well. The link to you, John, is slightly wobbly, but we've got all of what you've just said, and we looked at all the pictures with Peter and with you. And Peter, thank you for filling in as well. You did a magnificent job, if I may say so. That's it, everybody. Thank you ever so much to Simon for telling us about his film, to Naomi for telling us about her multi-talented portfolio career so far, for Nick and Charlie for telling us about that great regenerative project and also the Science Festival, and to John and Peter for talking to us about this parade in Penrith on Monday. Next week, we're going to hear about what situation the Knotted Project are in. They've got some more money to do some great dance things. We're going to hear from Sim Leach from the Barrow Comic Festival, and also The Edge, that brand new modern building in Whitehaven. Now that it's had a few months to settle in, what's going on at The Edge, and how can that be of interest to the arts and culture sector as well? So someone's going to come on and talk about that too. Meantime, it's a bank holiday weekend, so I hope you have a nice plan this weekend. Lots of stuff going on. Good luck with the weather in Penrith on Monday. I'm going to John Fox's celebratory do in just outside Ulverston at Lowick to celebrate the great man John Fox. So no doubt there'll be lots of interesting people there and people that I know. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. So thanks to everybody. Thanks very much to Iona for working so hard this morning, keeping it all smooth on track for us all. Hope you have a great weekend. Catch you again soon. Thanks all.